A Flight for Life pilot and crew member say repainting the iconic orange helicopters pink could be a safety hazard. A bipartisan push to pull down social media accounts illegally selling guns and drugs runs into our governor's libertarian streak. A contender to lead the Colorado Republican Party wants them to stop embracing a criminal.
We're supposed to be the party of law and order. We're not now.
And a school project so popular, it's turned into a book project.
I think words are such powerful things.
They're probably the most powerful way of expressing yourself.
That's tonight on Next. Colorado's iconic orange Flight for Life helicopters are being repainted pink to match the marketing colors of Chicago-based Common Spirit Health, which now owns that fleet. Tonight, only on Next, a Flight for Life pilot and former crew member tell our Evan Krugel that Common Spirit is creating a safety hazard in the name of corporate branding.
For more than 50 years, the iconic Flight for Life orange has stood out against the blue Colorado sky. But that orange is about to be replaced with pink as part of a rebranding move by Chicago-based Common Spirit Health.
How is spending this money making the crew, the patient, any safer?
Karen Mahaney lost her husband Patrick after a Flight for Life crash in Frisco in 2015. Dave Repsher survived the crash with burns to 90% of his body.
Obviously, a big bright orange object in the sky is pretty noticeable, and you can see it from miles away. So, to take away from that or diminish it, especially by introducing sort of neutral colors like a white, I think is probably not a very good idea.
Common Spirit says the new look includes highly visible designs and saturated colors, which are key to identifying the aircraft in busy spaces. It's unclear how much money it will cost to repaint at least 6 helicopters, but Common Spirit says the money will not come from public donations. Karen, Dave, and his wife Amanda wonder if that money could have been better spent.
If there's a dollar out there that can be spent on the vehicles, then it should be put towards safety, not towards changing the color.
This is money that patients have paid for their health care. And it's not going towards safety, it's going towards a vanity project for someone who wants it painted pink.
All three have spent the past decade pushing for more safety in Patrick's honor, and all three say this feels like a step back.
It's reckless.
In a statement tonight, Common Spirit says safety has been a top priority through this entire project and will be the #1 factor as they implement these changes. Kyle, I spoke with one of those current Flight for Life pilots today. They wanted to remain anonymous, but they said in addition to those visibility concerns, they're concerned about how long these helicopters could be out of service. There are 6 main bases across the state and 6 current up-to-date helicopters. They're worried about what those impacts could be as this lengthy paint job process takes place.
How long does it take to paint a helicopter?
Yeah, so the plan is they're going to strip them all the way down to reduce weight. So they'll essentially take them all the way down. Instead of painting over the existing orange, they'll take them down and then put the pink on. That'll make them obviously about 50 pounds lighter, and that can be a big deal with these helicopters. The problem is it takes about 2 months per helicopter. They have one reserve helicopter that they'll be sliding into backfill. The pilot I spoke with today said they're pretty concerned about that helicopter's ability in certain terrains, the high country, things like that, if this process takes as long as they say it could.
We know it's a dangerous job. We've seen the crashes. They're horrific. It's terrible. Glad we're talking about this. Evan Krugel, thank you.
You bet.
ICE is trying to blame Aurora police after 2 guys escaped from ICE's detention center in Aurora. They've said that APD wouldn't help search. APD is having none of this. Today, the police chief came out with receipts showing that ICE didn't discover the escape for hours and didn't tell police for hours more. The chief said he's not going to allow misinformation to damage his department's reputation. APD says ICE did not tell them about the escape until 5 hours after it happened. According to APD, power went out at the detention center around 9:30 Tuesday night. That caused some of the exit doors to unlock. That would appear to be a problem at a detention center. But staff did not confirm that all the detainees were there until they did a head count around 12:30 a.m. APD says it wasn't told for another 2 hours that there were escapees. Aurora police say their agreement with ICE means they'll help with a so-called hot escape, meaning something in progress, but they're not going to do citywide searches hours after the fact.
Had information been supplied timely, had it been supplied effectively, We would have responded according with our MOU and with our policies and our procedures. But if that information is not supplied, we cannot make things up. We can't just telepathically think, oh, this must have occurred and we're going to drive over there.
Despite the fact that ICE has been dragging Aurora police publicly, Police Chief Todd Chamberlain says ICE does not appear to be in a big hurry to catch these guys since they haven't even gotten a warrant for their arrests 2 days later. Both those men were being held for deportation after misdemeanor theft arrests. Today, the Trump administration's Justice Department says it intends to prosecute attacks on Teslas, including in Colorado, as domestic terrorism. And on the same day, the Commerce Secretary urged Americans to go buy stock in Tesla, which is led by the president's right-hand man, billionaire Elon Musk. The Justice Department is promising to bring, quote, the full force of the law against 3 defendants accused of using Molotov cocktails to set Teslas and charging stations on fire in several states. That includes a suspect arrested last month for throwing Molotov cocktails at cars at a Tesla showroom in Loveland. That case has led to charges that could bring up to 30 years in prison. It's increasingly hard to differentiate between the wishes of the world's richest man, Elon Musk, and the top priorities of the Trump administration. Elon Musk's wishes now command government actions. And today, New York Times is reporting that Musk has been raining cash on Republicans like Congresswoman Lauren Boebert of Colorado, who are supporting Musk's call to remove judges who get in their way. According to the Times, Musk made $6,600 donations, the maximum allowed for direct donations, to 7 Republicans who have endorsed his public call to impeach certain federal judges. Earlier this week, Boebert called for the impeachment of District Court Judge James Boasberg, who is the judge who told the administration to pause a policy deporting immigrants without trial. Other Republicans got donations for supporting the impeachment of a judge in New York who temporarily restricted Musk's team from accessing Treasury Department payment systems. Musk has repeatedly threatened to fund primary opponents against any Republicans who stand up to him and Trump. We asked Boebert's office about the transparent cash for her call to remove judges who tell Musk and Trump they violated the law. Boebert's team said Musk is, quote, staying in the fight with those who are standing with President Trump. A bill at the state capitol that would require social media companies to ban users who are selling drugs and guns and other illegal stuff online has bipartisan support. It's backed by school districts and hospitals, district attorneys. According to the bill's sponsors and backers, the one person who is not on board is the guy who would have to sign it, Democratic Governor Jared Polis. Here's Spencer Soisher with that.
You know, my boys were young, impressionable kids.
Matt Riviere had 2 young sons.
Andrew was 21, and Stephen, my youngest, Stephen with a PH, he was 19 when he passed.
Both of them died in 2021 from a fentanyl overdose.
They should have never died experimenting with what they thought was a non-deadly drug.
Since then, Matt showed up at the state capitol, pleading for change. Before, it was on stricter penalties for fentanyl dealers. Now he's backing a bill targeting where his boys bought it.
They got it on Snapchat.
Senate Bill 86 is a bipartisan bill that would require social media platforms to remove accounts participating in illegal activities, things like selling drugs, guns, sex trafficking.
If you look at things that are already illegal, you can't sell fentanyl on the street, you can't sell guns, drugs, human trafficking. But they're doing it on social media.
Republican Representative Anthony Hartsook is one of the sponsors.
The removal piece is very important to us.
So is Democrat Senator Lindsay Doherty.
Our sticking point is the removal piece.
Their bill, which had overwhelming support in the Senate, has hit an astronomical roadblock, one that can shoot the whole thing down. Governor Jared Polis.
My understanding is that they would like to have a bill without the removal aspect of our bills.
Doherty says the governor's sticking point is the same as hers. She says the governor thinks removing the accounts is a free speech issue.
I don't agree with that. This is illegal activity.
9 News asked the governor's office if he would support the bill. The response to our question didn't tip his hand. It said he's open to legislation that protects internet freedom and makes Coloradans safer. Whether it passes or not, we'll see.
They're influencing our kids.
But Matt thinks it could have stopped his boys from buying the batch that killed them.
And I think it would have really helped in my boys' situation.
I looked for similar laws enacted around the country, lots of different social media regulations, but I didn't find any specifically drafted like this one anywhere else. We'll point out the governor didn't outright tell us no. The sponsors we spoke with today didn't think that their bill was in trouble just yet. They said they continue to talk with the governor's office about this, though.
I suppose we'll find out, Spencer, if this thing gets gutted like a fish in the next week or two and just becomes like, I don't know, like a study or a proclamation or something.
Right, it's all about that one aspect. If you actually boot people off of the websites, it doesn't do much good in their eyes if you don't actually boot them.
All right, we'll be watching. Spencer Soysher, thank you.
I supported Tina up to the point where she went crazy, and she did.
Tina Peters is currently the heroine of the Colorado Republican Party. That Republican, who knows her well, is running to lead his party, and he says they've got to get over their love affair with this convicted criminal. And this Women's History Month, students in Denver are flexing the strength that comes with choosing the right words. That's next. Meteorologist Chris Spears is along, and you know, sir, there are days when Colorado's weather is the least crazy thing on this program, and that's really saying something considering the way the wind's blowing out there.
Yeah, you know, speaking of that wind, Kyle, it's relatively isolated. I mean, it's breezy across the state, but we have a handful of pockets of wind, and a few of those pockets happen to be right here in the metro area. So don't be too panicked. We're not going to revert back to that wind we had with that passing storm the other day, but tonight we will have some pockets of gusty wind, and I think right here in the foothills, especially west of Denver, the adjacent plains, places like Golden up to Boulder, you will have a pretty breezy night for a few hours. Low pressure is coming in for the weekend. That's going to bring a good dose of snow to the high country. We already have advisories in effect, so if you're planning to go to the mountains on Saturday, anticipate some tough travel with a lot of wind and 6 to 12 inches of new snow. Tonight, 20s and 30s for the eastern plains and western slope. We'll see mostly teens in the high country, so a pretty seasonal evening on the way. With that wind, it'll feel a little bit chilly. Tomorrow, like today, 50s and 60s for our eastern plains and western slope. Mountains, 30s and 40s. Your clouds are going to increase up there pretty early in the day with that approaching snowstorm for Saturday. We could get a few sprinkles here Saturday in the city, but all in all, seasonal temperatures until next week when a big ridge of high pressure comes in and warms us into the 70s to near 80.
Our next conversation is with another candidate to lead Colorado's Republican Party. Kevin McCarney led the Mesa County GOP from 2019 to 2023. One-time friend of former Mesa County clerk turned election conspiracy theorist and felon Tina Peters, McCarney is frustrated by his party's fixation on freeing Tina Peters, along with the consensus among GOP leaders to close Republican primaries to unaffiliated voters.
We send the wrong message. We should be sending a message of inclusion, and instead we say, well, you know, we don't want you to vote right now, but 6 months from now we want you to vote for. That's just not a successful sales message, and I'm a salesperson. I would never use that as a sale.
What do you say to Republicans who say that so long as Republican primaries are open to unaffiliated voters, you're going to get squishy middle-of-the-road candidates, you're not going to get true conservatives?
I don't think that's true at all. I think that 40% of those squishy unaffiliated people are conservative, and we ignore that.
You probably know Tina Peters better than any of the other candidates in this race. I mean, I remember years ago, 2021, you called her a friend. You said you were going to stand with her all the way. She's now in jail, headed for prison, and it is the position of the Colorado Republican Party that she is a political prisoner who should be freed. What do you think of Tina Peters?
I supported Tina up to the point where she went crazy, and she did.
She's become like the centerpiece of your party.
And it irritates me because she is not telling the truth, and they are not telling the truth of what Tina Peters did to Mesa County. There is not an elected official in Mesa County that will support Tina Peters. Not one. And there hasn't been for 4 years now. And so I have a real problem with this whole free Tina until she stands up and said, you know, what I did was wrong. You know, stealing someone's identity is not right. And I've expressed that opinion to almost everybody. Hey, you're standing with Tina. You have decided that identity theft is fine. Breaking and entering into the elections office is fine. Those are not right. We're supposed to be the party of law and order. We're not now. How can we claim it?
My full unedited conversation with Kevin McCarney, as well as my discussions with other contenders to lead the Colorado GOP, are available on the Next YouTube channel, and you can listen on the Next podcast feed.
I searched for this shirt for 45 minutes just for the interview.
It is the perfect shirt to talk about a lesson in empowerment that has turned out to be a much bigger project than they planned. That's next. Women are lifting up women at the International School of Denver these days. Students and staff have spent this month sharing empowering quotes with each other. And now they've decided to put their project together into an ebook so they can share that love with local women's shelters and career centers.
We received an email as staff and student asking for quote for lifting up other women.
We put quotes into this book.
We need this book.
I'll definitely start reading.
This project is really hopefully to bring back the confidence and the ability for the girls to speak up for themselves.
My favorite quote is probably, keep your face always towards the sunshine and the shadows will fall behind you. If you keep thinking about the negative things, they'll always stick with you. But if you go for the positive things, the negative things will fall behind you. And it's like a way to keep going and move on.
If people don't like you for who you are, be who you are even more.
I have two quotes. The quote that I made is, the patriarchy isn't gonna smash itself. And I very much dislike the patriarchy. People are gonna judge you anyway, so you might as well just do what you want. There's always gonna be someone that judges you, so why not just go for it? Because there's a million other people in this world that aren't gonna judge you.
I think words are like the most powerful thing in the world.
How you use the words is the most important. We put quotes into this book that's gonna make other people happy, and we just get to be the faces of this like big project.
May we leave them a world that is worthy of them. Marilyn has feedback. I'll have it for you next. Despite what some viewers have written in to say, turns out I'm not the biggest in Colorado.
Something like a prop, like a giant walk-through inflatable colon, it gets the job done for sure.
That is, in fact, a giant walk-through inflatable colon that is visiting Longmont this week during Colon Cancer Awareness Month. The folks behind the Butt Savers Club arranged for this visit. You remember Butt Savers because you raised $30,000 on Next to support that nonprofit's efforts to bring low and no-cost colonoscopies to Coloradans who can't afford that life-saving screening. They told me that they were not sure if they could reserve a visit from the giant walk-through inflatable colon because it is in high demand during Colon Cancer Awareness Month. So this is truly big. Doug says, who cares what color the Flight for Life helicopters are? It's their property. It's a big nothing burger. Emily says she worked in aviation and visibility is safety. See you next time.